If you want to be happy, that shit's easy. It's you wanting to be happier than someone else. That's the complicated part, because when we say I want to be happier, or I see so and so on Instagram and they have, this relationship, or they're traveling, or their job looks amazing, or they have the best clothes, we then set ourselves up as a comparison. And the bitch about comparing ourselves to other people is this: we are kind of projecting onto them the narrative of happiness and making assumptions about people's lives that they are happier than we are, when we don't actually know. Because let's be honest, when I'm having a cry fit, I'm not posting that on my Instagram page, because these are all puffy, the face is all red, I'm in a bad mood, and I'm not necessarily keen on voicing the fact that, me and my husband got in a fight over the weekend. It's just not happening. But when shit's good and I'm feeling myself and everything's okay, that gets posted. And so when we sit and we compare ourselves to other people in this hope for happiness, but really happier than others, we're fucked in a nutshell. So let's talk about what we can do, where this comes from, and how we can change it. Let's be honest. We're not set up for success when we're coming up in this world. In high school, fuck chemistry. Statistics was useless. I never used algebra. Don't even get me started on geometry. They had me taking sewing classes, and PE still traumatic in the way of, like, I don't want to do a crunch. And so I spent 4 years of my life in this institution preparing me for life, when really it prepared me for jack all. Didn't prepare me for college, didn't prepare me for being aware of who I am. It was dumb tests, SAT prep shit, who's valedictorian. It was a waste of time, because what we could be learning in high school is have a class on fucking ethics. Mind blowing. Or I don't know, what the hell is a tax form and how do I handle it? Offering more abilities for us to explore a creative side, or explore our self-confidence, or to develop the desire to learn about math and, like, science and shit. That stuff is self-exploration, and that's not encouraged in high school. In high school, because our brains are forming, we're actually more inclined to follow the pack, because we're scared of being the outsider. Because when you're the outsider, you get ostracized. And when you get ostracized, you get bullied. And when you're bullied, you get depressed. And it's a whole vicious cycle. So we're kind of fucked from the beginning. And we're not exactly getting that kind of motivational push from behind with our parents, as far as, like, telling me I can be anything I want to be is not helpful, guys. Just stop saying that to people. Being anything I want to be is a cop-out. You are giving me vague, I don't know, like inspirational quotes on a fucking wall, but how do I be what I want to be if I don't even have a chance to explore who I actually am? That whole shoot for the moon and you'll land amongst the stars, cool, I love it. But can you tell me how to fucking get to the rocket ship so I can get on it, so I can actually get into space, so I can aim for the moon? Because right now I'm jumping 2 feet in the air and getting nowhere, and I'm hurting my shins. We have to be more specific in the language we use to encourage younger people, because giving me a pep talk with no actual steps forward isn't helpful. So the truth is, not knowing what we want to do in life and not having some idea of who we want to be is our kind of defense mechanism against the terror of the fact that my life is up to me. Bottom line, there is no white knight coming to save me. No one's going to walk up to you and say, this is your path, here is your future. We have to make those choices and decisions, and that is actually what fucking terrifies us, because it's uncertain. Everything's uncertain. We don't know the result of our choices. We don't know if it's going to be beneficial or if it's going to be a consequence. And so in that unknowing is where we freeze, and that's where the terror sets in. If you want your life to mean something, you, just you, are the only one that can make that happen. It's not your parents, your friends, your partner, your therapist. We can't make your life happen for you. You have to show up for it. And that is the rub, where we want someone else to fix it And that's why we're like searching for the perfect friends or the perfect partner or the perfect job or the perfect blah, 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 blah. Fuck the word perfect. It's not a useful word. Take a minute, just a minute, and think about it for a second. Name one perfect person that you can think of off the top of your head who has all those boxes checked. It doesn't fucking exist. There are no perfect people. There are perfect assholes, granted, but no perfect people because human beings are flawed. That's the beautiful thing about us. We have flaws. We're all different. We're all unique in our own way. And so, this idea of seeking out perfection, stop. Give it up. You are setting yourself up to be frozen because there is nothing perfect. That's the beauty of life. It's a progression. It's fucking up. It's learning. It's fucking up. It's learning. It's the experience is the imperfections in life that make it actually meaningful. Another issue is this idea that our possibilities are endless. We can be whatever we want to be. Man, life is not a Cheesecake Factory menu. And when it is, it stresses us the fuck out. I don't want to look at 37 pages of items of what I could possibly eat. It's too complicated. My brain goes, ooh, exciting, so many options. And then it goes, so many options. What if I pick the wrong one? What if I don't like my meal? Blah, blah, blah. Life is not endless possibilities, especially when we're thinking about the life we want to live. That is the beauty of reflection and introspection. You've lived 2 decades so far. Let's just say you're in your 20s, okay? Those 2 decades were not wasted or meaningless. Those 2 decades contain useful information to help us explore and identify who it is we are becoming and who we want to be. We don't use reflection of the past enough in our decisions for the future, and it's a shame. When I hear my clients talk about there are too many choices, it's a cop out. And I tell them that because really what you're saying is there are too many choices. I don't know what to do. When the subtext to that text is actually, I want to have a life without change and have that life be meaningful. Not possible, guys. If you want to have a meaningful life, change is part of that. That's the beauty of life, is that we learn, we change, we grow, whatever, reverse those words, but you get where I'm going with this. There is no meaningful life without a life of growth and change. It's just the bottom line. So get over this I don't like change shit that everybody talks about. That is life. And so instead of looking at something that we don't like, we look at it as something that's like, oh, a useful opportunity to learn something new that I didn't know before. Now I know, now I won't do it again. Or now I know and that worked out and I will do it again. But that's the beauty of change, is the lessons we learn from it. So let's take the lottery question, for example. That's the question where they go, if you won the lottery, what would you do with the rest of your time in life if you didn't have to work and money wasn't an issue? This is why the lottery question is bullshit, is because it's factoring the fact that I don't have to worry about having talent and I don't have to worry about money. Okay. The better question really is, what would I do with my life if I never won the lottery? Ever. What would I feel motivated to get out of bed for every day? What do I like that I can actually be financially successful at? And by successful, I'm not talking six figures. I'm talking, can I afford the life that I want to live? And whatever that is for everyone is very different in features. And so when we ask ourselves, is what I'm interested in something I can monetize? The second question is what I'm interested in something that I don't mind seeing myself doing for, the foreseeable coming years? Those are the questions that we should be asking ourselves when we think about what we want to do with our future selves and in the process of doing that now. Which brings me to the unknown thought. Now, this is a psychological term that basically talks about the thoughts we've known for ourselves over time and yet have seemed to have forgotten. These thoughts are the things that we feel interested in, but don't voice out loud to others because we're worried that people are going to laugh at us, tell us it's ridiculous, or think we're, absurd, or even worse, what if I say it out loud and I don't even know how to get that thing? That shuts us down. I wanted to be an artist growing up. I did. I went to school for it. In my school, I mean community college, but When I was in community college wanting to be an artist, my dad came to me and told me that my dream was ridiculous because while I was good, I wasn't good enough to monetize my art. And I took that to heart because, I was 18 and what the hell did I know about the world? And my father was in his 70s and he had lived a long time. And so I asked myself, if I'm not going to be a painter, what do I enjoy? And I ended up wandering into a human sexuality class, mostly looking for a dude, because I was bored. But what I found once I was in human sexuality was this entire world of sexual dysfunction and sexual psychology. And the teacher was a sex therapist and he was great. That got me interested in learning more. And so I took a Psych 101 class, which I also found fascinating. And then I took a Psych 102 class and then a sociology class. And through genuine curiosity, I discovered that being a therapist wasn't being an artist, but I could always paint and draw. But it was something that I enjoyed and wanted to learn more about. And it was something that I knew that I could do for years and not get bored because nothing was ever going to be the same every day. And so it was this genuine curiosity and recognition of something that I'm pretty good at that became my career. But it wasn't my initial career. I didn't want to be a therapist my entire life. I wanted to just draw and smoke weed and be like a gypsy. And that doesn't stop me from being a gypsy. I'm just a therapist before I'm a gypsy. So don't let the unknown thoughts be the things that deter you from voicing them out loud, trying them, and then being willing to try something else when those maybe don't pan out. I think for me, the most terrifying thing about deciding I wanted to be a therapist was really, I didn't know where to begin. And that was almost scary enough to like pause and not move because of the uncertainty of like, how do I even start? And I think this is for a lot of my clients where they get frozen in that kind of treading water space instead of swimming for the land. If I don't know how to become a products manager, if I don't know how to become a graphic designer, if I don't know how to become a therapist and like the steps that I have to take, then I'm going to stay in my mediocre job that I hate because of the unknown of what comes next instead of the genuine curiosity of like, well, how do I figure that shit out? And so it's in that in uncertainty of asking for help or asking for our friends or resources around us to give us some kind of guidance that we really shoot ourselves in the foot. All of the answers to all the questions are out there. It's just we're so scared that once we get on that kind of path, then I'm on it. And what if I'm on it and I hate it? My first semester of grad school, there was 12 people in my cohort. And by the time the first semester ended, two dropped out. They took the classes, they fucking took all the time to get into a master's program. And at the end of the semester, they were like, you know what? I can make more in pharmaceutical sales. I can make more as a well, not more, but I can find more satisfaction being a kindergarten teacher. I don't want to be a therapist. Holy shit. I admired them so much because they recognized that this wasn't for them and that was okay. And so they didn't continue forcing themselves forward. They stopped, they took a beat, and then they backed out to do what they actually wanted to do. A lot of people think that when we make choices, we are opening ourselves up for heartbreak, for failure, for rejection. And it's almost easier not to make a choice. And the truth is, it's not easier not to make a choice because when we don't make choices and we stay still, it's not that it's easier, it's that the consequences don't come until later. And by later, I mean in our 30s and 40s, when we wake up one day and realize I've let someone else make a choice for me. I've let my mom or my dad or my partner or my friends dictate my future by their suggestions, or you should do this, or you should go to law school, or you should be a parent, or why don't you have a baby, or why don't you, go back and get like your teaching credential, whatever the thing is. And we don't follow our intuition and our instincts. We listen to the this is what you should do because we think it's an easier choice. And then sometime down the line, we wake up and we go, I'm in my 40s. I'm in a marriage I'm not happy in, living in a house I never wanted, doing a job I fucking hate. What happened to my life? That's when shit gets hard, because then we have to start over at 40, ideally, or die miserable. It's not a good option, because if you're taking care of yourself, you have another at least 40 years on this planet. Do you really want to do it being miserable? So it's not that we can't ever start over. It's that it gets harder to start over physically as the years go by versus when we're younger in our 20s and 30s, when we still have the kind of get up and go mentality. We don't have kids, we don't have a mortgage, and blah, 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 that other shit. So for my 20 something year olds out there, let's see, how can I say this? Instead of asking yourself, what should I be doing? I want you to keep these two things in mind. Ask yourself, can I make a living doing what I want to be doing? Because if you can't make a living doing it, then that becomes a hobby, something you do after work. Okay? My painting, can't make a living doing it. At least I don't think so. But that doesn't stop me from painting when I'm done with my clients. The second question I want you to think of is, will I like the work I'm doing for years to come? And so, like I said, wanted to be an artist, wandered into a psychology class, and ended up becoming a therapist. I fucking love what I do for a living. And so, because I enjoy what I do, it really takes off that edge of knowing in the back of my mind, well, you wanted to be an artist at first, Megan. Yeah, I did. But I also love being a therapist. And so I took something that I was interested in, that I found fascinating, and I was able to make that into a career that I can foresee myself having for time to come. And if I'm 50 and decide I want to become an interior designer, then fuck it, I'll become an interior designer. But right now, I know I have a lot of years doing this because I actually enjoy the work I'm doing. If you want to be happy, it's easy. It's being happier than other people that sucks. If you think that making a choice is the hard part, and so I'm going to do nothing and just see what happens, that's making yourself susceptible to consequences down the line. Make sure you're picking something that you're interested in that you can monetize. And finally, make sure you're doing something that you actually can see yourself doing long term, that's not going to make you want to put your head through a wall. So those are my tips for my 20 something year olds out there. And fuck it, even for anybody older than that, because really this is kind of like the universal law. If you guys have any questions or comments, drop them below, and I'll see you all soon.